What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your boy Domuto. We're back with another video. Today we're watching Saiyan. We started a new story. What if Universe 6 and 7 merged? Alright, this is part 1. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna watch part 1 just to get it started, just to get, you know what I'm saying, we get into it, you know what I'm saying? So how I'm gonna do now. Start story. If I start story off, I'm gonna watch part 1. And then once we get in, you know, once I see people getting into it, 2 parts, you know what I'm saying? Oh, shit.
From Universe 7. And I like doing that one. So I thought, what if I move someone from Universe 6 to Universe 7 instead? And I wanted to make one about Hit in Universe 7. But instead, I had a different idea.
Okay.
And after looking into the comments some more, I see that a lot of people suggested it too, so I decided, why not do this? A what if where Universe 6 and 7 are one universe.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not just going to be putting characters from Universe 6 into Universe 7. I actually have a whole story about how it happens and what it actually affects in the story too beyond that. You'll see what I mean as it goes on. For this video, we'll set a like goal of 5,000 likes. And if we hit that, I'll continue with another part of the story and make it a full series. Anyways, let's begin covering what would happen if Universe 6 and 7 were one.
This was recommended by, damn, I forgot, but shout out to the person that recommended this.
And at one point, there's a particularly bad
Matter
one.
of fact.
Knowing the two brothers, it's over something petty. It's over Beerus eating some food at Champa's birthday, which is also Beerus' birthday, obviously. It's the same event that actually was seen in the manga, except here we're changing it a little bit. It happens a while before everything else in the story, and the fight gets a little too intense. Whis and Vados are able to intervene, finally stopping the battle. But as they look around, they see the results of the destruction. Besides the countless planets that were destroyed, it seems like the fabric of the universe itself is falling apart. And not just one universe, but both of them. Universe 6 and 7 are structurally damaged. And it's almost as if one begins leaking to the other. The two begin merging. Beerus and Champa regain consciousness after Whis and Vados knock them out. And they ask what's going on as their attendants scold them. They so badly damage each universe that now the two of them are just, well, they're collapsing in on each other. They're able to mitigate some of the damage, but it seems it's already too far gone. The two universes merge into one giant one. The neutral space between them completely disappears.
Looking for the comments.
As the two universes begin connecting. Beerus and Champa are terrified because now they know they're going to have to enter to Zeno for it. And soon enough, Zeno does call them over. He doesn't do anything about it. He actually thinks that one mega universe, it might be pretty entertaining. It could raise the mortal level, especially because those two were so weak. And it leaves one less universe for him to look over. Another upside is the fact that this could be better for their management. They haven't really been doing the best jobs with their individual universes, but with the two of them overseeing one, as well as having more Kais looking over everything, well, maybe those weak universes can be saved.
Right.
But Zeno tells them they're on very thin ice. He tells the two of them to not cause any more havoc, or they'll face his wrath. They're absolutely mortified.
Bart Jones. Shout out to Bart Jones for
recommending. They're surprised they weren't
this.
just erased on the spot for that. But Zeno actually sees this as a fun experiment. And now they really just need to watch their act and make sure they're being better gods. Or at least being less chaotic. And while this could be easily fixed with the Super Dragon Balls, Zeno advises against it. He wants to see it through. Beerus and Champa almost went to gather them, actually. But now it looks like they're just going to have to live with it. With this mega universe being created, it now has multiple gods. 2 gods of destruction, 2 Supreme Kai, multiple other Kai, and of course, 2 attendants, Vados and Whis. The Kais are taking this very seriously. Fua and Shen are trying to do their best to keep everything going as is. And now they have to figure out what to do next. There's multiples of each planet too. For example, there's 2 planets called Earth. These are twin universes after all, but they can't just have 2 of each planet existing. There are some unique planets between them. But as for those duplicates, something needs to be done about that. Beerus and Champa decide to handle it themselves. After all, before creation comes destruction. To create a functional new universe, they're going to have to destroy some things. At random, duplicates of each planet are destroyed. Thankfully, they're so far apart that they're not affecting each other. For example, Universe 7's Earth is so completely detached from Universe 6's Earth that it doesn't really matter. But one of them has to go while the other stays. And this is thousands of years before everything else, so Universe 6's Earth is actually intact right now. Well, at least for the time being, until they have to destroy it. Universe 7's Earth gets spared. And they repeat this for all the duplicate planets too. Some planets are already very civilized. For example, the 2 Nameks, they're already developed. And the Namekians from each are pretty similar. So the Kais do help, making larger planets, coalescing the 2 societies together, with Universe 6 and Universe 7 Namek merging. This is only done for very few planets, the higher level ones that are very civilized. Neither Earth, for example, was heavily developed, and is still at a critical stage in its development. Merging the 2 together would be disastrous. But for 2 very similar planets like Namek that already seem like they're developed already, they're put together. They do this on a planet-by-planet basis. For each planet, it's going to be a little bit of a different case.
Okay.
One interesting case is the 2 Saiyan planets. One planet is actually a little bit farther along in development. Universe 6's planet Sadala. There's also Planet Plant, which eventually would turn into Universe 7's planet Vegeta. Since the Kais are both so frantic right now about everything, and let's be honest, they're also a little bit incompetent, They don't realize that these two planets are actually the same, just at different stages of development. So, the two planets are actually left alone. Planet Plan eventually develops into Planet Vegeta, a society with Saiyans and Tuffles, and even goes through its own phase where it's called Planet Sadala, without even knowing that there's another one already. Shin and Fu notice this when it's too late. But for some reason, Beerus steps in and tells him not to destroy either. He doesn't know exactly why, but he feels like down the line, the Saiyans will be important to him. He can't quite put his finger on it, but he did have a dream recently. He might need to go back to sleep again soon. Many years pass, and eventually, the Saiyan societies eventually come in contact with each other. Also, for our purposes, Saiyans will come to be just as normal, and will take liberties to keep some of the same characters as normal. Realistically, if this is how it went, so much of the history of the Saiyans would go differently that people like Vegeta wouldn't even exist. But this is Dragon Ball, and we're not being realistic here. The Saiyan societies eventually do merge, with the Universe 7 ones being more dominant over the Universe 6 ones. Unlike with the Tuffles, the two Saiyan societies live in peace. Although, they kinda keep to themselves. Planet Vegeta is pretty classist as we've seen. And if low-class Saiyans are looked down upon, there's also going to be the Universe 6 Saiyans that are looked down upon. They do seem weaker. They don't even have tails. They've evolved past that. So even though those Saiyans are actually farther developed, the ruthless Universe 7 Saiyans are still looking down upon them. The non-tailed Saiyans are basically looked at as their own class like the low-class Saiyans, while the middle-class and elite-class Saiyans from Universe 7 reign above them. There's some differences between the two. Universe 6 Saiyans of course don't have tails and they're more peaceful. And we'll add some other things to them too. For example, they keep their youth for longer and have longer lifespans. Universe 7 Saiyans are stronger, but have shorter lives, and a little bit less potential than the Universe 6 ones. I'm kinda keeping some of the ideas from the main story where Universe 6 Saiyans seem to be a lot more peaceful, and have a lot more S cells because of that. Although instead of it being the S cells as an explanation, it's more so just them being further developed in general, and this creates the genetic difference between them. And their longer youth also explains why some of the Saiyans here look so young from Universe 6, but the Universe 7 Saiyans actually kinda look their age. Looking at you, Kappa. And right now, Planet Vegeta is pretty heavily developed anyways. Vegeta III, aka the King Vegeta that we know, he just took over, with the Saiyans still being controlled by King Cold's army. King Cold actually did want the two societies to merge. The Saiyans are powerful soldiers that they could use, although the Universe 6 ones don't seem to want to cooperate. They're a lot more docile than the Universe 7 ones, which also does rub off on some of them. King Cold is trying to expand his army as much as possible. He did come in contact with another army. It was on a farther side of the universe, but it still was there. An army called the Frost Corps. It seems there's a ceasefire between the two, but not an official one. We'll be seeing more of that army later on, as well as many of the other things in the universe that develop differently. But let's just focus on the Saiyans for this moment. Frieza eventually does take control, and ends up destroying Planet Vegeta. Not at the request of Beerus either, he actually does this on his own, which is another change here. And while Beerus did want to keep the Saiyans around, he kind of forgot why he wanted to in the first place. Maybe it'll come back to him, and maybe this is for the better. It was a mistake for those two planets to exist in the first place. And Champa kind of agrees too. At least they don't need to worry about it anymore. But even with Planet Vegeta being destroyed, there's probably many more Saiyans that went off planet. But Frieza knows this. He wants to hunt them down. Some Universe 6 Saiyans escaped from the Universe 7 Saiyans. And for those that were in that merged society, some of them deserted to avoid being in Frieza's army too, or just because they didn't want to be under King Vegeta's rule and rather King Sadala. But in the Frieza Force, some Saiyans still do exist, and there are some out there that he doesn't know of yet. But right now, he knows of 4. 3 of whom are tailed Saiyans, and 1 is a tailless Saiyan. They don't actually know they're from separate universes. They're just separated by whether or not they were born with a tail. In Frieza's army, there's Vegeta, the Prince, as well as Nappa and Raditz. And there's one tailless Saiyan who's kind of unlike the rest, who actually did join the Saiyan army due to her strength. This is Caulifla, an orphan tailless Saiyan that was raised by some of the other ones, now also part of Vegeta's crew. In Vegeta's eyes, the more Saiyans together the merrier, even if Raditz and Caulifla are essentially low-class Saiyans in his eyes. Still, it's better this way. But as I mentioned, there were a good few who weren't killed on planet Vegeta when it was destroyed, with one of them being sent away as a baby, a Saiyan named Kakarot, who eventually ends up on Earth. Now, unlike something like Planet Vegeta for example, Earth actually developed like normal. Comparatively to the others, it's still a relatively undeveloped planet, but now it's civilized. There's human societies. With each decade that passes, they're more technologically advanced. It's no longer roamed by dinosaurs or cavemen, it's roamed by intelligent humans, as well as a Saiyan who doesn't even know he's a Saiyan. Earth has actually remained completely unaffected, which includes Goku as well. But I did mention the history of the Namekians was affected as well, and we're not really going to be seeing that just yet. But just know that the nameless Namekian that came to Earth wasn't the same one that we know in the main story. He has some slight differences due to his different society too, but we still do have Piccolo on Earth. And as much as I'd love to go into the story of Dragon Ball, at least the parts before Raditz arrives, well, there's nothing really to cover. Since we left Earth completely unaffected, and we don't have any sort of space travel until later on, nothing changes. This is another one of the liberties we're taking, just because I don't want to create a completely different story with different characters, even though that's realistically what would happen with the two universes combined like that.
Right.
But as the series goes on, we'll be seeing different characters pop up, different storylines, different planets. The hierarchy of gods is completely different. At some point, Vegeta does want to find every surviving Saiyan, He's been kind of looking around, but he knows it's dangerous. Frieza's also been on the lookout because he knows they could be threats. He's not particularly concerned about the tailless ones, more so the tailed ones who grew up in a more aggressive environment, the ones ruled by King Vegeta, not King Sadala. But he doesn't actively seek out the Saiyans. He's just keeping an eye out for them. And this leads to Raditz being sent to Earth, looking for his younger brother that was sent to this place. It's shocking to Raditz to see that Goku actually doesn't have a tail. It's a sign of weakness among Saiyans because it makes him look like one of the non-tailed Saiyans, an even lower class than the low-class Saiyans that they are. But of course, he knows that's not the case. Kakarot just had his tail cut off, which must mean he's pretty weak too, because they view that as a source of power for them. And his power level isn't anything too impressive either. He knew Kakarot was weak, but he's still this weak after all this time? And he's not acting Saiyan-like. It's so strange. Outside of that, their encounter goes pretty much normal, leading up to the death of Goku and Raditz. But Raditz gives a different warning this time. In a year's time, 3 Saiyans will come to avenge him. 3 warriors will arrive on Earth, finishing the job that he started, leading everyone on Earth to prepare for the Saiyan invasion. But they're not the only ones preparing. With all this chaos in this giant merged universe, there's another faction, one that formed a while ago, but is still relatively new. An agency created to keep peace in the universe. Not one created by gods, but by mortals, the Galactic Patrol. A couple of them are monitoring this planet called Earth, of course one of them being Jocko. He knew a while ago that some Saiyan was sent there that he was supposed to kill, but he never was able to do it. Luckily, the planet turned out completely fine. But he did get word that another Saiyan space pod was going there. Great. Is it one of the Planet Vegeta Saiyans that went there to cause havoc? Why is that? But the guy never leaves the planet. It seems that both the Saiyans on that planet ended up dying in a battle with each other. You know what? Jocko's actually glad that happened. Well, if Earth was being invaded, then it was stopped, and that means both the Saiyans are gone. None of them can be a problem in the future. He does know that there's probably some other Saiyans out there still, but at least those 2 are gone. Granted, that one on Earth, he probably wasn't that bad of a guy because he never caused any problems. But he can never know for sure. Looks like it's not his problem anymore. But one of his colleagues hears of this too, and he particularly takes interest in it. Jocko says that it's not really his problem either. He shouldn't have to worry about it. I mean, if the Saiyans are gone, why does he want to go there? But for this guy, it's something more personal. Jocko always knew this guy was kind of strange as one of his colleagues. But he kind of gets why this guy wants to get involved because he actually is a Saiyan too. Not one of the Universe 7 Saiyans, but one of the ones from planet Sadala. At least a descendant of one of those Saiyans. He's actually around the same age as Goku. It's a galactic patrolman named Kappa. His family barely escaped Frieza. Although, his parents were so lucky, they didn't make it out. But they're able to safely hide their kid, with Kappa surviving, then eventually being found by the Galactic Patrol, who came in to see if there were any survivors from what happened, since the Frieza Force was tracking down some of the people that deserted. This is actually right before the planet got destroyed too, and they didn't know what to do with this kid, but they decided to actually take him, with Jocko being one of his mentors too. And for Kappa, a lot of this is personal, figuring out that the Frieza Force is still out there causing havoc. And what's worse, it's more Saiyans being pitted against each other. It's even weirder this time because apparently these 2, they're not Sadalan. They're Vegetan, I guess that would be the term for that. One's from planet Vegeta. They don't even know that those 2 Saiyans are brothers too. But he wonders why particularly this planet is an interest for the Saiyans. Because that could put this planet at risk. Not just from the Saiyans attacking, but from Frieza attacking too. And Kappa wants to check it out, just to make sure that everything's fine. It's not going to hurt to at least just get some info. So, against what Jocko says, Kappa actually goes out to Earth, trying to figure out what's happening here. He wonders how many Saiyans are still out there. Not just the ones from planet Vegeta, but the ones like him. There's definitely got to be some survivors.
Got to.
And what concerns him is this planet is now on the Saiyans' radar. There's definitely others out there. He knows that the prince is out there alive somewhere. Vegeta, a guy that kind of concerns Kappa. Not as much as Frieza, but still, he's concerning. And Kappa tries to think of what's going on. He can't figure it out though, but eventually he does arrive on Earth. During the 1 year of training, a few months after Raditz arrived, Piccolo's in the middle of nowhere, watching Gohan survive in the wilderness. And he senses something strange, a power approaching. It doesn't seem malicious, but still, it's concerning, since it's coming from space. Others actually pick up on it too. On the lookout, the humans there, they could sense this. And of course Kame could see. There's another invader on Earth, it seems. Telepathically, he starts speaking with Piccolo, which kinda does annoy Piccolo, but Kame tells him to check it out. Piccolo tells him not to intrude on his thoughts like that. He already was gonna go intervene anyways, but he will let them know what's going on. Piccolo still is Piccolo at this point, so he's a little bit difficult to work with. But in this case, he's actually gonna cooperate. He flies over to where the space pod is. And it's not one like the Saiyan space pods that they saw before. It's more like a normal spaceship.
Oh.
Well, whatever constitutes as normal for spaceships. The hatch opens, and a man steps off. Piccolo's stomach drops. No, it can't be. This early already? There's another Saiyan here. Kappa steps off his ship, making eye contact with Piccolo. And this is where we'll leave off for now.
I ain't gonna lie, I like it. I like it right now. I like it so far. Excuse me. Something a little different. I like the differences. Like, you know, you got Kaba with the Galactic Patrol. got Khalifa. What her name? Kale, Khalifa, whatever. Chilling with the with Vegeta and them. So we'll see how this all ties together, man. How it get more tied together. So y'all want to watch it, you know what I'm saying? Let me know down below. If you like my reaction, please like, comment, subscribe. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.